Let's do this, right? Bones Tuesday. Cat, what are you doing? I like that she likes me. I hate that she likes me. She's rubbing against me. I'm trying to concentrate here. Holy shit! Go away. Can get some writing in today. I'm not really sure what the deal is, what I'm gonna write, if it's gonna even matter. Nothing else matters. Yo, Chad Hoey. Yeah, I've seen that on like, I don't know, 5 books in the last couple of days. An unputdownable thriller. Like, that's not a word, and that's stupid. I am not going to read your book. I like that. Doesn't sound. It just sounds stupid, right? Doesn't that sound stupid? 1, 2, and 3. Just sounds stupid. Now, if somebody said to you, hey, how would you describe Chad Hoey? I would say unputdownable. You can't put that guy down. You could try, but it ain't going to happen. I'll bet you good United States American currency on that. Just seemed like a dumb thing to say. A lot of those really are turnoffs for me as a reader. Unputdownable, when they're like, you will not believe the twist ending. Yeah, 9 times out of 10 I saw it coming about halfway through the book. How's it going for you, Chad? One, two, three. Yep. 2, 3. All right, just got to get to the next page on this, and I'll be happy. Fine. Beyond busy lately. How about yourself? The same. The same. Gearing up for MondoCon in a month, about a month. Tom Duffy will be here early. It's probably about 3 weeks. Tom will be here doing that. And in next week, next Friday, I will not be on Twitch because we will be heading up north to Pennsylvania. I have a book signing at the Vortex Books, Saturday the 13th. And then my wife has a work convention Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The Builders something or other, BOMA, it is called. She is a member of BOMA. And every year they do a different huge convention with vendors and builders and all kinds of different people. There's Mr. Frank. And so we will be up in Philadelphia for several days at the middle of this month. So I'm going to take the ride with her, eat some cheesesteaks, get some writing done in the hotel room. Will I be on Twitch today? I'm not sure yet, Frank. They'll send you an email. If I'm going to be on, they'll send you an email. There's Chad Lusky. Two Chads today. We're double chatting it. Chad Hoey and Chad Lusky. The weird part, both of them were born within the same minute in the same hospital, and both of the fathers decided to name the kids Chad. True story. This could have been an email. Exactly. So anyway, so I will be in Philadelphia in less than 2 weeks for several days. But was he named after actor Chad Everett? Who the hell is Chad Everett? Well, I know the name. Now you're making me look things up. And we're learning. Oh, that guy. All right. He died in 2012. Weren't you born in like 2013, Chad? Raymond Lee Crampton, known professionally as Chad Everett. More than 40 films. He was born in South Bend, Indiana. What did he pass away from? It says Chad Lusky's parents stole his name. Or lung cancer. I don't remember what I read. There's Ben. Hi everyone. I can't stay long. I will be at the writer's lunch next week. Yes, the 11th. Thursday the 11th. 11 a.m. Don't be late. Do not be late or they will not give you Chinese food. Fun fact, all Chads that ever were and ever will be were born within a few hours of one another. Chad Everett Never Toloda. Chad Hoey, 94. That's how old you are? You are freaking old. You look great, though. Radiant Skull says, I only know Chad Everett's name from being 5 years old and seeing the opening titles to Medical Center. Oh, no, he is no Walton Goggins. That's that 100%. There's only one Walt Goggins, and he is the best ever. 100% agree with that. In fact, me and my wife watched several more episodes. We were almost done with season 3 of The Shield last night. And Walton Goggins is just delightful. In anything he does, just delightful. She also saw there's some convention coming up somewhere that Michael Chiklis is going to be, is one of the special guests. And she's like, how funny is that? Ooh. My opening thing, my subject thing, is because for some reason, in the last couple days, I've started seeing again the. It's mostly indie authors, although one of them was a big publisher, where they're in the title. It's an unputdownable thriller or whatever, and I'm like, I hate that. Don't put unputdownable. It's not a word. It's stupid. And I'm like, no. Ms. Frank took in a few episodes of Food That Built America. Nice. We are caught up on that one. We were watching the Icons of America now. Last night we watched an episode of Arnold and Stallone. That episode. Years ago, when the wife and I watched The Shield, she always referred to Goggins as Horseface. You tell her to take that back. Armand, have you seen the cover of Patavona's upcoming YA release? Yes, I did. I thought it was awful. Now, very good. I'm gonna guess that's your cover. The Fallout show would have been good, but they gave Goggins a fantastic character and made it great. Agreed. He is. I wasn't even gonna watch it I'm like, but then I'm like, oh, he's in it. I gotta watch it. It was too. I was like, said to my wife, "You're not gonna like this. It's too sci-fi." She hates science fiction. She hates aliens. She hates all that stuff. And for some reason, all the History Channel shows are all about aliens this season. So she's like, "Yeah, I'm not interested in any of those. Watch all those on your own." I'll catch up on all of that stuff because starting tomorrow, she goes to work and then she goes straight to her mother's, and I think she's gone until Sunday at her mom's. So I will be on my own. But there's food in the house now. As a player of the Fallout games, I was overjoyed that they just took the source material and ran with it. That's what everybody says. I've never played the game. I've watched a couple of people play it on Twitch for a while, but they were doing really boring things like lifting weights, and I'm like, I'm not going to lift weights in real life. I'm surely not going to do it in a game. But everybody who plays the game and watched the shows today, it had definitely had the same feel to it and all that, which is great. Did you only look at the thumbnail, or did you blow it up and see how bad it is? It's AI, but it's old AI where it just suggests windows, doors, etc. I just looked at the thumbnail. I didn't really pay too much attention for it. I'm going to be honest with you. Dan is just releasing way too many books for me to keep up. And it's one of those where like, hey, I'm already 30 books behind, so I'm just going to read something else. And at some point in my life, I will catch up. And oh good, he's doing another series and another, and I'm really not a huge YA fan either, so. I mean, I like the premise of it, but I'm just like, I got other stuff to do. Hit the Amazon link and click on the cover. Look at the house. Do it now. So we're gonna call this out right now. What's the name of it? Give me the name of the book. Tell me the name of the book. Well, then I'm going to pull it onto the other monitor, so so I can look at it privately. Yeah, tell. No, show. It's in his newsletter. I already deleted his newsletter. You think I just save news? Oh, I'm going to save newsletters? Think I got a giant file of newsletters? That shit I read and I delete immediately. Exactly. While we're waiting for Chad to give me the name of the silent hunt. Okay, see? Was that so hard? I'm going to pull this over here. I'm going to go to the Zon, as us young kids say. Silent Hunter Shay. Okay, now I'm gonna click on it and pull it up. And what am I looking at? What, did he make his own cover? It looks weird. It looks like all the lines are like a little off. It looks odd. That looks odd. You better be saving the Sunday name. I'm getting bored with the Sunday name drop. It's old bad AI. It's AI. I wouldn't even have known it was AI But again, I only saw in the newsletter, I guess. I just saw the little picture of it, and I was like, all right, oh, there's a house and a white picket fence. All right. That's the way I used to be, just suggestions. So is that what Dan is doing now? He's like, I'm going to save money since I'm putting out a book every 40 days, and I'm going to just start using AI. Because obviously he hasn't bitched about it like everyone else. He's like, I do whatever I want. I expect you to be an email archivist like Keen, then brag about all your spam as those people clawing your door. Yeah, I know. I have 4,000 emails. No, you don't. You got 3,900 spam things that you haven't deleted yet. Here's the thing: if we all just let all the spam pile up like that, I get 400 a day. So okay, so in 10 days, I'm in 11 days, I'm beating you. He classifies himself as romance, it'll be fine. Yeah. Radio Skull says, oh yeah, that's AI art. Look at the top edges of the windows in the house. That's AI. Yeah, fingers are just a row of several pink sausages. Level detail. Yeah, it looks weird. The when you blow it up, it looks not right. Don't ruin the magic. Yeah, the picket fence is also, like, you're looking and you're like, are some of the slats in the wrong place? Just, I don't know, just really, it's odd. I don't think anybody will even notice. Again, I just glanced at it in the newsletter, and then deleted the newsletter, which I delete everyone's newsletter. Frank, have you ever had a newsletter? Chad, did you ever have a newsletter? Do you have newsletters? And I don't, and I'm not subscribing to them so I can read them and delete them. Pickle fences, exactly. Nothing like some delicious pickle fences. Yes, sir, I've had a newsletter for years. Do you put them out on a regular basis? I don't think I'm getting them. Maybe I should subscribe and see your picket fences. I bet Mr. Frank could write the crap out of a newsletter. Oh, I'm sure. Everybody thinks Jeff Strand's so funny. Wait until Frank gets a hold of a newsletter. He'd get bored with it, though. Anyone interested in Goat Weekly newsletter? Chad Ho, you act like we all don't already subscribe to that. Just interesting goat facts and pictures of goats and goats in pajamas. I think I tried to do it once, only got like 5 subscribers and realized I had better reach screaming out my front window. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people in Sayreville or Parlin or wherever the hell, South Amboy, wherever the hell you live, just wandering the streets out there. So they're like, yeah, all right, hey, thanks, you got a new book out, thanks. I used to regularly, but not so much anymore, only when I have news. Have about 1,000 subs. I do it on the 15th of every month, my newsletter. I get about 2,800 right now. And it's only for thriller stuff. I don't ever really talk about the horror stuff or anything else because I want it to be very crime thriller focused. It seems to help. I get some pretty good sales every 15th. That's why I release my books usually on the 15th of every month, regardless of what day of the month that is. Ms. Frank already subscribes to the Daily Goat. Scout Morning is as great a character name as Cormoran Strike. This is not a compliment. It's a good character, though. If you read the books, Scout is she's a very good character. I like what he's doing with the character. I love his books. From what I read of Padavona's Wolf Lake series, I like the Scout character. Yeah, it's a good character. Sayreville, New Jersey, the boyhood home of John Bon Jovi and Mr. Frank. 2 great people. I listened to I listened to some Spotify this morning while I was writing, and I guess there's a new Bon Jovi song, like I don't remember the name, like Great After All These Years, something like that. He talks about being in a Jersey bar band and being 17 and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't even know it was him. I'm like, why does this guy sound familiar? And I looked on Spotify. I'm like, oh, this is a Bon Jovi song or a John Bon Jovi song. Like, very mellow. Like, all this stuff is just really fucking mellow. And the dude from Beach, what's his name? Really? Is from Sayreville? I had no idea. I'm BJ McKay, and this is my best friend Bear. And that one dude from Psych and West Wing. Yeah, and you went to school with him. I told Shelly that, and she's like, alright. What do you mean, alright? I went to the same high school as Steven Van Zandt. Oh, he graduated several years before me. And then some dude who played football for the Oakland Raiders for like 2 years. And then me. These are the famous people from Middletown North in Middletown, New Jersey. Not nearly as successful as the people from Sayreville, New Jersey, obviously. Battle Creek, Michigan, home of wrestler Rob Van Dam, Metallica bassist Jason Newsted, and one of the It's Always Sunny regulars, who's also the father in Young Sheldon and other stuff. We watched the WWE Legends Rob Van Dam episode over the weekend. And he talked about Battle Creek, Michigan. He also talked about loving marijuana and basically ruining his career over it. I was like, oh yeah, Battle Creek, Michigan, home of the potheads. I don't know. Greg Evigan, there you go. I was trying to think of his name, but I was too lazy to look it up. I'm like, I looked something up already today. I looked up Chad Everett. I mean, I'm enough already. So we're watching season 3 of The Shield last night, and it came out in like 2003, I think. Something 2003, 2004, something like that. And in one episode, there's a dude who's peeking in a window. The cops pull up, thinking he's a serial rapist, and he's like, no, it's not what you think. I live here. Knock on the door. And then his wife comes out with some big black dude. And they're doing a role play thing where she's cucking him. And I'm like, who is that guy? He looks so familiar, but you know what? Sometimes you get excited over cereal. I guess you never had Count Chocula cereal. And then I had to look it up, and I had to go through all the episodes, and it was that Bert Kreischer dude from like 20 years ago. But he is clean shaven, not as fat, and he had a shirt on. That's probably why I didn't recognize him. Just interesting, some of the cameos you see on shows like that all the time. Chad used to love BJ. So did I, man. That show was great. BJ and the Bear was phenomenal. I don't remember. I'm sure if we watched it now, we'd be like, this is awful. And so cookie cutter. But at the time, one of those shows I would have never thought about until Mr. Frank brought it up. Because I'm BJ McKay, and this is my best friend, Bear. Chad, do you ever do book signings? Are you ever interested in going out there and meeting people, or you're just like, I'm just going to stay here in Battle Creek, Michigan, where Rob Van Dam is from, and that person from some show from Philadelphia, and Jason Newsted. And you're like, I have no interest in going out and signing books, meeting people, shaking hands, kissing babies. No, I hate to sit there and watch people walk by like I'm some zoo animal. That's why you got to do it with another author. That way you can act like, hey, I'm really busy here. We're talking shop, and we're talking stuff, and oh, you know, oh, you want to look at a book? Okay. It is really an awful and humbling experience most of the time. Most of the time, especially if you're introverted, most of the time it's mind numbing, it's depressing, it's soul crushing when people just walk by, especially if you're in an event that's not just a book event, and people walk by and turn their nose up at you like, oh, what is that, movies? Those are, I gotta do work now, and they walk away like, oh my god, you try to hand a book to me, you piece of shit? Like, that's the problem with book signings. And then sometimes you get like people are excited and they're like, oh, I read this something from you and blah blah, and I'm like, all right. I've been asked to do signings and stuff, but I turn it down. Listen, I'm going to say this. I can't say I blame you. For me, actually for my wife, it's me getting out of the house and being social. And I think for me mentally, it's better for me to do this. We don't ever worry about the money. I don't ever go to Scares That Care, AuthorCon, any of these and go, you know what? I need to make $2,000 or something. Here's how much the hotel rooms cost. Here's how much the gas costs. Here's how much the food costs. Here's how much copies cost. Like, we don't ever sit down and crunch the numbers and go, okay, how much money do we need to break even? How much money do we need? I'm not interested in that, because that's the pressure. Like, I would rather go, like when we did AuthorCon, me and Tom Duffy shared a table, and I was like, what's our over under for selling books each day? And I'm like, you know what? Friday and Saturday are going to be 2 good days. Over under, I remember, is 50. 50 Friday night, 50 Saturday, 25 Sunday. If I can sell 75 books, I'm still going to lose money, but I'm out of the house, get to hang out with people, all of that. And so that's, for me, that's kind of the way I look at it. We also do the over-under is usually 3 for how many people who have never written a book will come up to the table and describe their amazing book to you that they are never going to write. Usually I take the over because it's usually over. Ms. Frank says, I get annoyed when I ask someone how a signing went and they can admit it was crickets and not worth their time. Yeah, like, listen, I'll always, if I sell 30 books, I'm going to go, oh yeah, I sold like 45 books. I'm always going to lie because that's just my nature. But I'm never going to go and not sell a book and go, oh, I sold 10 books. If it's garbage, it's garbage. There's many conventions I've been to, many book signings I've been to that are awful. So young Mike Whitmer, who some of you have met, Mr. Frank met him last year at MondoCon. He's in that early stage of where he tells you the exact numbers, the truth, which is funny. And he's like, oh, that one was awful, or this one was this. But he's doing the San Marco books. They want him to come in I think in August. July. I got a July event and an August event. But you bring your own table outside. You sit outside on the sidewalk. And he's like, oh, are you going to do these? I'm like, it's going to be 1,000 degrees out. No, I don't do these events in the summer outside in Florida. What are you, nuts? Nobody's going to be out because it's too friggin' hot. The people who are out over there are the people who walk their dogs. It's a very hipster area. They have a very big LGBTQ population in that area as well. So you see a lot of people, again, walking their dogs, walking around, but nobody's buying anything. They're just going to the coffee shop. There's a Starbucks, so they go to the Starbucks and get a crappy $5 coffee from there instead of a good $5 coffee from Dunkin'. And then they just wander around a little bit on a Saturday or a Sunday, and then they go back home. Or you get the Scares That Care curled over book covers. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've really let my backstock dwindle. I mean, I still got probably about 75 titles and probably about 400 copies total. But it used to be like over 1,000. So I've not ordered anything else. And then doing Brian Keene's thing in a couple of weeks. Supposedly he is ordering books in, and then whatever doesn't sell, which I would imagine would be most of them, then I will sign them for his for the store. You know, my thing is, listen, I'm going to be up there anyway. It's like another hour and a half from where we're going to be all weekend, so I might as well get the signing in. It's two other authors that have, I think this might be their first signings, or they haven't done many signings. So he's like, well, you got to buy a book from each of them. I'm like, one of them, I don't know if I would ever read it. One of them, I think, is very splatterpunk, and with those cheesy looking splatterpunk covers, I'm just going to be honest, those cartoonish, lots of blood. It's like a hardcore band from like 1981, and their little brother drew them an album cover kind of crap. Can you break the massive sales record set last weekend? I don't know. There was 15 authors, and they might have sold 30 books. It's going to be interesting to go and see what the spin is, because you always see the group of authors, but you never see lines of people. Or the one time I saw where somebody was signing and they had a line of people, I'm like, oh, well, there's John Urbansick is in line. Everybody who hangs out at the store all the time is just in line. So the 5-6 people who show up anyway are going to be there. So hopefully people show up, if for nothing else than just to be able to hang out for 3-4 hours. Then we'll head back. We'll head south to Philly, West Philadelphia, born and raised. They haven't staged a lone one since the first time they staged one. Yeah. Well, this one was originally on the 13th. Was just supposed to be these two guys, and then he added me in. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to add you. I'm going to add you in." I was like, "Yeah, that's not a problem." So, if nothing else, speaking like what Chad says, just sitting there like you're in a zoo, at least I'll have two other authors that will be sitting there with me. And it's not an all-day event. It's like 1 to 4, I think. So, I sell a couple books. If I don't, I don't really care. This extreme and splatterpunk stuff is starting to feel like an excuse to write poorly. But if the gore and the rapey stuff is there, then people look past the fact that there's no good storytelling there. Listen. You're an old man. I'm also an old man. I get that. 100% what you're saying is true. It's like, let me just be as brutal and crazy as I can be, but we don't really have any plot. We don't have anything. And the few splatterpunk stories that I have read are not really good. The best ones I've read are stories from people who don't normally write splatterpunk. They only write like horror stuff, and then they're like, let me turn this up and write some extreme fiction or some splatterpunk stuff. But there's still a horror story. There's still a story there. And a lot of this stuff is just... I remember in the old Metal Edge magazines in the 80s, or Kick-Axe, or Kerrang, any of those, they always used to have a saying that an album was bad, and it would be speed for the sake of speed. And that described a lot of albums from back in the 80s. Speed for the sake of speed. And now it's just gore for the sake of gore in splatterpunk stuff. Clive Barker, David Shaw Lansdale wrote splatterpunk, but they write well. They at least try. They also don't just write splatterpunk. They wrote other stuff. They wrote better stuff. You know what I mean? They wrote a horror story that had maybe a lot of violence or sex or whatever in it, but that wasn't the focus. A lot of the people writing now are like, let me shock you, let me rape babies, let me kill. Oh, you don't like me killing dogs? I'm gonna slaughter dogs. I'm gonna have babies fight. I'm starting on page 81. Stuff like that. Ed Lee, exactly. My attitude with that stuff these days is the genre is for non-writers and non-readers. Here's my old man thing. Whenever like books of horror, which has really gone downhill. Books of horror, whenever anybody jumps in, like, oh, I have no triggers. I want the grossest blah 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 stuff, and I'm like, do you like that stuff, or do you think that you're really cool? You know, like, and that annoys me. I'm like, you don't. What are you getting out of this? You know what I mean? Do you have a rape fantasy? Do you have some crazy fantasies that you're trying to, you know, like, hey, I don't want to go out and kidnap and rape and torture somebody, so let me read about it. You know? Nah. I was never a fan of that stuff. The young people have a word for this, edgelord. I don't know what that means. Explain me what edgelord means, because I'm not a young person. Splatterfolk, yeah. What is he, the king of splatterfolk or some stupid crap like that? I look at that stuff like listen, I've written some crazy things. You know, I've written several stories for Evil Cookie Press for their anthologies. I think 2 or 3, and I also wrote a really crazy taboo one years ago that was in an anthology, and a couple other things. But I've mellowed as I've gotten older, and I don't want to. I would not want to be 80 years old and known as a splatterpunk guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to be like the old man in the nursing home that used to write all this horrific stuff. An edgelord is a dude who can't wait to express how freaking edgy he is. Just ask him, he'll tell you. This statement is understated sarcasm. Yeah. Alright, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, you see that a lot in books of horror now. I'm also getting annoyed with books of horror because there's 2 or 3 writers that every time somebody posts something, hey, I'm looking for something crazy edgy, where grandmas get beaten with, clubbed over the heads and tortured and then get pregnant. And then there's always the same ones that go like, hey, my book has nothing to do with that, but it's kind of edgy, so here's the name of it, here's the link to it. Like, nobody's asking you for you shouldn't be able to post about your own book. Nobody keeps the self-promo in check in that group. Yeah, exactly, and that's the problem. So it's the same people over and over. Like, anytime I see anything, somebody's like, oh, I'm looking for a good zombie series. I'm like, please somebody mention my book. Please somebody mention, but I'm not going to mention my book. I'll mention other people's books, so hopefully somebody will see my name and go, oh, that dude wrote some zombie stuff. You know, to help another author. But I'm not going to go, oh, you got to check out my stuff. You want crazy and edgy? Stephen Graham Jones and Josh Mellerman are here to mess you up. It's just, I don't know. As I've said a million times, I hate the horror community. I hate all the new kids in. I'm just not a fan. Just write a good horror book, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of which, Chad Lutzky, are you writing anymore, or you and your wife are gonna do goofy videos for the rest of your life? When's your next crime thriller thing coming out, man? Let's go. Night Owl 7, let's go. Yeah, I never drop my books in those threads, even if someone is like, I'm looking for a book about dead moms and spelling bees. I quit writing. You better not have quit writing. Are you mistaking him for Jason Brandt? Yeah. The horror community can be good. I'm really familiar with the Ghoulish Books people in San Antonio. They're good folks. Yeah, there's not enough good folks, though. That's the problem. There's not enough good folks. Where the horror community is fighting over crumbs. Nobody's making any money, and yet they're fighting as if millions of dollars are at stake, and I have to beat everybody else down and shit on everybody else in the community in order for me to make millions of dollars. And literally, most of the time, you can't quit your freaking day job. You can't even quit your part-time job with the money that's being made. I want to move to Texas. Good writing scene down there. Chad Hoey, I don't know if you're still on, but Redneck Beach has reopened. They put in a temporary road. Just so as you know. I made shrimp, cheese, mushrooms, and onion roll-ups today for lunch. 4 of them. Because I overdid it with the shrimp. Delicious. And I guess my wife's going to come home after work and she's going to make us dinner, because then tomorrow when she leaves, she'll be gone for like 5 days. Which totally sucks. But then I'm going to watch the Nickelback documentary. So, hell yeah, I got to keep big butts on the beat. They 100% right. 100% right. I was like, man, they're going to lose a lot of money. But they put in a temporary road right away. Shrimp gushers. Yes, pretty much. Well, I was started making quesadillas. But then when I started to fold them, I'm like, let me just roll these. And then I just rolled them. And somebody told me the trick to put a little bit of water on it when you flip it, so that it doesn't stick, and then it steams nicely, which worked. It worked. 100% worked. I also got up this morning and I went to Dunkin' and got me some coffee and a cinnamon raisin bagel with cream cheese, and then I went and finally picked up my Geezer Butler autobiography book and added that to the pile. So now I think I have about 8 or 9 books from the library to sink my teeth into, as the young kids say. I don't know if they say that. Do you really believe he wrote it? Here's the thing. I have like 5 autobiographies on my desk. I doubt any of these people wrote it. I doubt John Stamos sat down one day and said, I'm going to write a book. Speaking of Creepy Couch, I could use more subs. We're trying to get to 1K and we're just under 700. So if anyone is up for it, we're on YouTube. Chad claims Geezer Butler actually did write his bio, no ghostwriter. I find that hard to believe. I believe Sebastian Bach basically wrote his. So they all might have written it, but there was somebody there that punched it up and made it readable. Same for Brian Wheat. I don't think I read the Brian Wheat one yet. I think I might even have that on my Kindle. I'm already subscribed, Chad. I want to remind everybody to subscribe or resubscribe here on my Twitch channel, and also to subscribe on my YouTube channel, where not only will these videos go up later in the afternoon, but there's also a bunch of other videos. There's a ton of like 3 to 5 minute videos there you can just burn through, you can watch. I saw an interview with Geezer recently and he wrote it. Also, I know David Lee Roth wrote Crazy from the Heat. I don't believe any of that. And just because he said I wrote that doesn't mean he wrote it. But, I'm negative about everything, so. I hope he did write it. I hope he did. I just know most of them are not. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's a good book. Hopefully you get some good stories in it. Like the Hootie and the Blowfish, the Darius Rucker one. I gotta read that one. I'm tired. We got the awning on the back porch put in yesterday. They came right about 20 minutes after I got off Twitch. Took them a couple of hours. It was very loud, drilling and banging on stuff and everything. So, when do we get the Armand Rosamilia autobiography? We would have had it if Jay Wilburn was still alive. He was going to ghostwrite it. So, probably never now. Maybe Alex from Iowa will ghostwrite it. You know, he's way busy writing his stuff, though. I think he actually is almost finished with his second book. I think it's being edited right now. His second one of the his zombie stuff. It wouldn't be hard to write a bio, especially when you're not touring or writing music. Just sitting around in your lush courtyard under the palm trees, next to your Afghan hounds and fluffy chihuahuas, as your housekeeper brings you iced tea. Yeah. Even better is you sit in front of the actual writer and you tell that person's stories. And he records and writes them down for you. That's what a lot of these are. Especially the wrestling ones. I've read a lot of the wrestling ones, and I think only maybe 2 or 3 of them are actually completely written by the wrestler. The rest of them are all just, tell me stories. Have you read Crazy from the Heat? Yes, many, many years ago. Tonight I think we're going to watch the Rock Legends. The Sammy Hagar one is the only one we haven't seen yet. We're going to watch that one. And again, they're going to talk about Montrose and him being a little kid, and then him being in Van Halen, and then nothing else happened after, 2010 or whatever. I would imagine they'll have another group of these next year. Now, if Ozzy said he wrote his, I'd laugh. It's the only bio I've ever read where I lost respect and liked the artist less after reading their book. Guess Ozzy's not doing too good. They're supposed to do some convention or something, and he ended up having to cancel. He canceled, but Jack Osbourne is still doing it. I'm like, wow, what a letdown that would be. Yeah, Ozzy can't do it, but hey, Jack Osbourne will be there, so. Ozzy has been doing too good for the past 10 years. That's true. Yeah, man, just looked like I put a bunch of junk in my mailbox, my stink box. I feel bad for Ozzy. He's had it rough the last few years. We won't have him for much longer. No, we won't have him for much longer, or he's going to live another 30 years. He's either gone in the next 8 months, or he's going to be here for another 80 years. Ooh. So yeah, so there's that. I will be here tomorrow. I will be here hanging out with you tomorrow. So come join me, hang out. I'll get some writing in. Didn't get a lot of writing in today. I got a lot of writing in this morning before I jumped on. So there is that. Because I knew I would probably just end up talking for this hour. Just pretty much what happened. So, all right, everybody, you have a great afternoon. Thank you once again for hanging out with me and chatting and talking about random things and a little bit of writing in Armor's Magic Garden. I see Frankie and Tommy and Chad and another Chad and probably another Chad. A lot of Chads in this Magic Garden. I can see Sharon propping him up with pillows and making him tell Randy Rhoads stories for some remastered version of Blizzard. Yeah, that sounds about right. And you know what? You wouldn't even be able to understand Ozzy anyway, so probably his voice would probably be better if he was dead and telling stories. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate it. I will see you soon.